All right. Thank you. Oh, let's see if I have any reactions. Do I have any new reactions? Let's do that. All right. Party. Okay. Let me just add, for the students that came in late, please make sure to sign into the Slido so I can see your names later. I can check your names. And Ariel, whenever you're ready, just get set up and then I'll get started. We'll get started. Good job. Thanks, in. Just a second. One, two, three. Okay. Okay, Ariel, whenever you're ready, thanks.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ariel, and I'll be talking about the use of technology to control the world state society. I'll be talking about three main forms of technology: the Bakhanovsky process, conditioning, and SOMA. First, I'll talk about the Bakhanovsky process. The process was first introduced inside of the hatchery by the director, who quoted, "One egg, one embryo, one adult normality. But a Bakhanovskified egg will bud, will proliferate, will divide. From 8 to 96 buds, and every bud will grow into a perfectly formed embryo, and every embryo into a full-sized adult." Essentially, the process is a super accelerated form of cell division, allowing one egg to divide up to a maximum of 96 eggs, which develop into embryos and grow into humans. We can visualize the Bakhanovsky process through this animation, where each circle represents one human being. So the eggs will be exposed to X-rays for about 8 minutes, and they respond by budding, dividing into 2, 4, 8, and so on. However, not every egg can withstand the X-ray exposure, so some of them die while others successfully divide like this.
Wow.
After the X-ray exposure, the surviving eggs are transferred into incubators like this, where they develop into embryos and then human beings. So what's the point of creating multiple identical human beings? How does the Bakhanovsky process control the world state society? According to the director of hatchery, the Bakhanovsky process is one of the major instruments of social stability. The Bakhanovsky process is primarily used to supply factories with lower caste workers like deltas and gammas because the world state leaders want them to be as identical as possible. This limits their independent and critical thinking, which reduces the chance of rebellion against the world state. Next, I'll be talking about conditioning. So for conditioning, I'll be talking about prenatal conditioning and hypnopedic conditioning. I divided this topic into these two subcategories because they each significantly impact the citizens and the world state's ability to control them. So what exactly is prenatal conditioning and how does it work? Prenatal means before birth, so it involves conditioning embryos. The first major form of prenatal conditioning is controlling the amount of oxygen the embryos get. For example, epsilon embryos are given less oxygen because epsilons do not need intelligence. Therefore, their brain development is reduced, which allows them to focus on their laborious tasks. The other major form of prenatal conditioning is acclimation. Acclimation is the process of getting embryos adjusted to certain climates and conditions. For example, embryos that are planned to be sent to the tropics, they'll be exposed to uncomfortable coldness, which makes them hate the cold when they're eventually decanted or born. Another example of acclimation is constantly rotating the embryos of future rocket plane engineers. Since rocket plane engineers will be working outside of a rocket in midair, they're going to be in constant circular motion. This acclimation goes hand in hand with oxygen control as well. The spinning embryos are turned upside down and the flow of oxygen is increased. Therefore, the embryos associate being upside down and rotating as a good feeling. The other type of conditioning is called hypnopedia. Essentially, when babies and young children are asleep, sets of phrases are repeated by speakers for long intervals of time. Rather than facts and information, these phrases describe and establish the caste system of the world state society. They teach these young children how to think and behave towards certain castes. For instance, beta children are repeatedly told to be glad that they're beta, and they're discouraged from interacting with epsilons because the epsilons are inferior and less intellectual. So how do these different types of conditioning play a role in the world state's control over its citizens? As the director of Hatchery best puts it, conditioning aims to make people like their unescapable social destiny. The prenatal conditioning, such as acclimation and oxygen control, molds citizens in order to withstand and even prefer specific surroundings. The hypnopedic conditioning encourages citizens to embrace their role in society. It's much easier for the world state to control citizens that are happy with their place in society. For our last topic, I'll be talking about soma. After thousands of pharmacologists and biochemists were subsidized, a drug called soma was invented and then commercially produced. World state citizens took soma in various forms, from pills and tablets to even soma-infused ice cream. Described as the perfect drug, soma lacked side effects and was said to be euphoric, narcotic, and pleasantly hallucinant. Because soma has such powerful pleasure-inducing effects, world state citizens relied heavily on it, especially lower caste workers like deltas and epsilons who worked long, hard hours. Whenever the citizens faced unpleasant things, they would quickly pull out a bottle of soma tablets, take a few grams, and then lie down for a couple of hours, happily frolicking in their fantasies. Since citizens rely so heavily on this drug for their happiness and pleasure, the world state is able to control its citizens much more easily because they're the ones providing the drug. It's important to note that these factors don't work alone, but rather complement each other like puzzle pieces. From birth to death, citizens are molded, shaped, and controlled by technology in order to maintain stability. The very first step of life, conception, is controlled by technological means to churn out as many identical citizens as possible. Before they even take their first breath, embryos are reconfigured to include or take out specific characteristics and behavior. As they grow older, citizens' way of thinking, ideas, principles are specifically shaped to fit into their designated roles in society. Since technology trains them to chase after pleasure, citizens are hooked on soma, which was created by pharmaceutical technology. Based on these interconnected puzzle pieces, it's clear that technology has a powerful grip on the world state citizens. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that was good. That's some good animation in there too. I'm gonna give you one of those too. Go back to any slide really. I'm just gonna ask you a generic question as well. Any slide you want, you can just make it bigger so we can all look at it. Doesn't matter. You can overview slide or whatever. Sure. Okay, so same question, same idea. 2 points from your slide presentation or 2 points from the novel, but most likely your slide presentation has enough detail for you to make connections. But can you connect ideas from here, whether it's technology used in childbirth, or well, we talked a little bit about soma already. And you can talk about conditioning if you want, but 2 ideas from your presentation that you can see in the modern world, that you can see in today's world.
Let me think about it.
Very cool animation. These are really, did you make these?
No. I
Oh, you
can't.
found them, but still, they're really cool. They really suit your ideas. They suit your presentation.